Hey guys, happy Thursday, once again, video day. I am excited today to speak about marketing as an introvert. I think such an important topic. A lot of the people I work with are introverted. I am an introvert, and I feel like a lot of us think that it's a barrier to being successful in our business and get really worried about how we can market and grow a business effectively as an introvert without doing things that feel icky or feel salesy or pushy or make you pretend to be an extrovert. So that is what I want to talk about today. And as I'm going, if you have any questions, let me know. But I'm going to break down some things for you, explain some things I think are going to be really helpful, and give you some steps that are going to allow you to market as an introvert in a way that feels good. Okay, so I want to start by explaining a few things about being an introvert first, because through my journey of starting my business, I've just become a lot more, I would say, like self-aware of, kind of who I am and being an introvert and how it shows up for me in my life and my business. And so I was curious, and I was doing a little research, and I want to share with you some actual definitions that I think are helpful. And so I was actually looking up, like, what is an introvert? What's the definition? And what I found is to turn your thoughts inward, which is really like a definition that goes back all the way to the 17th century, like a more philosophical definition. But I think that this is such a great definition because a lot of times we get really caught up in the fact that an introvert means like you don't like people, or you don't like being around people, or you need a lot of alone time, which I think can be true as well. But I think for those of us who are introverted, that we have a bigger tendency to reflect inward before we reflect outward, and so we're a little more self-aware of what's going on for us, and we think about that before we take outer action. And so that can sometimes seem a little more challenging when it comes to doing things that, can be like scary or difficult for us. For example, a lot of the things that we have to do when we start a business, because we're really reflecting on it and get kind of caught up on that, and sometimes reflect so much that we just stop ourselves from moving forward and taking action because we're thinking so much about like, how is this going to come across? Like, what are people going to think? All that stuff. Whereas someone who is more extroverted and they're more outwardly focused may not think about all those things before they just go and do it. And so I think it's important to understand that. Obviously, some of the other things, it said someone who is predominantly concerned with their own thoughts and feelings rather than external things. Once again, kind of going to the inward focus. Prefers calm, minimally stimulating environments, which I can totally relate to that. Like, I don't like big crowds. I don't like being in big groups of people where I don't really know anyone. And I think these things are important just to recognize when it comes to marketing as well, because there's a lot of different options and you can find what fits best for you. You can be drained by socializing. Once again, something important to keep in mind. And a lot of times we'll regain energy with alone time. So I think of this too, like yesterday I had kind of a hard day because I was wrestling with some technical things, and someone who is extroverted may want to go out and party after that happens, right? They're like, I need to go and release some steam. Whereas for me, I was like, I need to just like chill out and read or like watch some TV or do something that's going to kind of like settle my mind. So I think that's something to keep in mind too. Let me just see what you guys said. Yeah, so Kristin was saying we can take on others' emotions and judgments in addition to our own. Nice to be in controlled environment. So that really goes into like being empathetic, which I think is kind of, I think people who are introverted have a bigger tendency to be empathetic, which just kind of goes more into that inward focus, right, too, because we can kind of take things on. And part of that, also a big part of that can go into mindset stuff, because there's actually what I have learned, like I thought, taking on other people's stuff like was something that just kind of happened, but a lot of times it can actually be contributed to what you're thinking. And so what you're thinking makes you feel a certain way. So if you're thinking certain things about those people, it's going to make you feel a certain way. And so I think to know that we have like power over some of this stuff, and it's some of the things that I have learned, because I didn't know any of this stuff when I was getting started either. Hey, Jacqueline, I love that. I'm so glad you find them helpful. Dean, am I saying your name right? It's funny, but yeah, some people think that introverts are snobbish or standoffish, and I've had that said to me before too. In the past, that people were like, oh, I just thought you weren't very friendly or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm just like an introvert, so I'm not always out there like, you know, I say something what's important, but I don't feel the need to like just always be talking. So I think it's good to just be self-aware of these things. So I wanted to give you guys some other definitions because I think they're super helpful as well. So I think often being introverted can be confused with being shy, and being shy is actually something totally different. So being shy is being nervous or self-conscious in social situations. And that said, that can happen to people who are introverted or extroverted. So I think just being aware of that too. And that's something that definitely has come up for me in the past, especially when it came to doing things like networking events and stuff, which I'm going to talk about because that goes into marketing. But I just was very like uncomfortable in those situations. So I just was not really my thing. But I think one more definition I want to give you guys, because I think this gets thrown into introvert too, and it's totally different, is being self-critical, which kind of goes with like being self-conscious, but I don't like saying self-conscious because I think that just can mean like you're conscious of yourself, which is a good thing. But being self-critical is critical of oneself, one's abilities, and one's action in a self-aware or unduly disapproving manner. Okay, because you want to be aware, like, is this actually that I'm introverted and kind of what my preferences are, or am I really being self-critical of myself, and that's what's keeping me like quiet or keeping me from kind of going out there and doing things. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. Crystal, yeah, small talk can like be draining. Like I absolutely agree with that. Unless it's like with friends or people I know really well, but with people I don't know, like I'm just like, that's just not really my thing. Yeah, self-consciousness, a battle, especially when presenting in public or creating videos. Yeah, so that is definitely something that I want to talk about. And like I said, I think as introverts, we are more inwardly focused, and so we can be more aware of things, of details, of things that we're saying, of what other people might think of it, and how do we kind of allow that to be okay and to actually be a strength as opposed to like stopping us from moving forward. So I will be talking about that because that kind of comes into like perfectionism and stuff too. Okay, so do you guys have the difference between kind of being an introvert versus being shy versus being self-critical? Because I think that can be helpful. So I want to give you guys some steps. Okay, number one is more of just something to be aware of, but that you can be successful as an introvert, and you don't need to change who you are. You don't need to try to be extroverted. You don't need to try to, be someone that you're not in order to be successful. And I think just knowing that is so, it's so just like a relief for so many of us, because I know we have a tendency, especially for me when I was getting started in my business, I was looking at everyone else who was like a successful entrepreneur that I was seeing, and so many of them were super extroverted. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be like that. Or like I was thinking I had to be like that, and that just kept me like paralyzed, because I was like, you can't be someone you're not, right? Like it's impossible, and it makes you feel, this is what it does. It makes you feel inferior when you're trying to be someone that you're not, and you'll never be able to be that person. And for me, that was such a big thing. I had such this big inferiority complex about, what I could do and what I could accomplish, because I was always trying to be someone I wasn't. Okay, so when you can just really embrace who you are and be that introverted person that you are, which is perfectly fine, and really embrace like all those parts. I think it so helps with your self-esteem and your confidence. Okay. Good morning, John. I'm giving you a call in a little bit. Yeah, Rachel, that's such a good point. We're so much more intuitive, and that's one of the things I want to get to too, is like really recognizing that our strengths. So what do I think of biofeedback, being aware of your heart rate, etc. before presenting? So I'm not super familiar with biofeedback. I do think like before presenting, like doing some deep breathing and whatever it is, like I really like this definition or this like saying that I heard from someone, but that nervousness is excitement without the breath. Okay, because they feel very similar in our body, but a lot of times when we're nervous, we're not breathing, right? And so I think nervous and excited, really, if you feel like how they feel in your body, they are very similar. It's kind of like this like jittery feeling. And so when you can bring that breath into that and just kind of be like, okay, it's okay, I can breathe. I think that really helps as far as like if you're feeling nervous for something. Okay, so being authentically you and not trying to be an extrovert, because you can be successful just how you are. Super important. That's number one. Number two, making a list of your strengths. Okay, this is super important. And this is like what Rachel is saying, like being intuitive, like being really good with connecting with people, maybe being good at art or being good at writing, or just really like writing down like those things that you're really naturally good at. I promise that there is a lot of them, and you probably are never focused on those, and you're more focused on the things that you don't do well or you wish you were doing better. And so when we can really tap into our strengths and recognize what those are and utilize those to our best efforts, it really allows us to shine. Okay, so write down all those things that you're really good at. Like make a list, actually take out a piece of paper and a pen and like do this. It's going to really help you because you can see like all these things that you're really good at. Yes, I'm loving it. Okay, so then you made this list of your strengths. You want to use these strengths in your marketing. Okay, so if you're really good at writing, do a lot of writing in your marketing. If you're really good with, connecting with people one-on-one, look for opportunities to connect with people one-on-one. I bring in things like photography because I love it. Like that comes into my marketing. What are some of the other things? Like if you really like speaking and that's something you're good at, of course, bring that into your marketing. If you like videos and doing videos, bring that into your marketing. And I know you're probably like saying like, I don't like any of that stuff, like, or I'm not good at any of that. And this is what I want to say. You are. And what the thing is that a lot of times it just takes some practice, because everything is going to feel scary to you in the beginning because you haven't done it and it's new, all right? Like I can tell you, before I did a video and before I started doing them regularly, they were the scariest thing in the whole entire world to me. Like I was like, I can't do a video. That's so scary. Like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I mess up? What are people going to think? I'm just going to sit here and drool. Like, I don't know. Like, I had all these stories going about why I couldn't do videos and why they were too scary. And what I've come to realize is, so this is another thing that I think is really important. Let me see, I'm getting off of my list. I wanted to make a list. That everything is going to feel scary to you in the beginning because it's new, and that's okay. But I think what is really important to recognize is that there's some things that feel scary, but they feel like things that you want to do or things that you're feeling called to do, which videos were for me. They seemed super, super scary, but I felt really called to do them. I was like, I'm going to do them like someday, like I'm maybe not now, but someday. And so whereas opposed to some things feel icky, right? Like they feel like, ugh, like I just not right. So I think it's the difference between something feeling expansive and maybe scary versus contractive and like that just doesn't feel right to me and it's scary as well. So when you can tell the difference between those, I think that's how you're going to see like what's going to be good for me as far as marketing, because all of it's probably going to feel scary in the beginning because it's new. But there's some things that are going to feel like kind of exciting, scary, and some things that are going to feel just like icky. I don't want to go there. Yeah, the difference between using your strengths and afraid to challenge yourself. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now. Because it's all going to be scary and that's okay. And truly the more you do it, the easier it gets. If you had ever told me like a couple years ago that I would be going and doing videos every week and speaking to the internet, I would have been like, no, you're freaking crazy. Like that's never going to happen. Let me see if you guys said anything else. Hey, Charmaine. So glad you're here. Okay, so I have a few more things for you guys. So a big strength for us as introverts is connection. All right. So I really like to think like all of my marketing that I'm putting out there, I'm really wanting to connect with people and I'm wanting to inspire people, teach people. And that's really what I focus on as opposed to getting focused on myself and like, how am I coming across and what are people thinking of me? And instead I'm thinking like, how can I just really build connections with the people that I'm wanting to speak with? How can I share something with them that's going to inspire them or teach them something that they need to know? And that's really what I'm thinking about. And I think as introverts, we're really good at connecting with people. We can be really good at being super like authentic and speaking from the heart, and that's really a strength. And so always focus on like that connection and what you're bringing to the table for other people as opposed to getting so focused on yourself. I think super helpful. Okay, this is another important fact. To realize that as an introvert, and if you're just marketing as who you are and being authentic, it's likely that you're going to attract other introverts because a lot of times we like to work with people or we're attracted to people who are similar. And so you don't have to try to be an extrovert because you can just work with other people that are introverted. So a lot of people that I work with are an introvert, but I also work with people that are extroverted, and that's fine too. So, but in general, I don't have to try to be extroverted to attract extroverts. Like, no, I'm just being myself, and whoever is attracted to, me and my message and my personality, like that's just fine. So, hey, Katie, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so I want to get into a little bit as far as specifics of marketing. And so, some of you guys like know kind of like my story. I started working more in person, like out of a clinic first, and I was doing a lot of networking. When I started my business, and I hated it. Like, I just hated it with a passion. I forced myself to do it. I probably did it for like a year, maybe a little less than that. But I hated it, and it was really ineffective for me because it just wasn't where my strengths were. It just wasn't doing what felt good to me. It just was not my thing. And so that is when I started finding like online marketing and having an online business and the systems and structures that you can put in place that allow you to get in front of people using online marketing. And it was such a better fit for me, and it continues to be such a good fit for me. First of all, because of the freedom, the flexibility that comes with it, but also because I don't need to force myself to go to networking events where I'm in a big group of people that I don't know, and I just feel generally uncomfortable. Like, it's just not my thing. So, and this being said, like, I think networking can be great, and if it's something you love, like, for sure go and do it. But for me, it just wasn't. Like, it was so draining for me. I remember one week I went to a number of networking events, maybe 3 or 4 or something, and I just like crashed, freaked out. Like, I was like, I can't do this. So that being said, what I have found to be really helpful is to, like, specifically I teach Facebook ads, but I think there's other things you can do online too that allow you, this is the important thing, that allow you to get in front of your ideal client and bring them to you. Okay, so with Facebook ads and some other online systems, like, you can set up a system that's getting you out there in front of those other people, and then you can just share some great content, and then that's bringing people back into your community. So you're not having to go out and, like, go to a bunch of networking events or go and like chase people down. Once again, I don't think like any of that, well, you don't want to be chasing people down, but going to a bunch of networking events or going and giving talks and that stuff, like, that could be fine. But I think it can be very draining for those of us who are introverted, unless you're one of those people that just happens to love those things. And then I'd say, like, go and rock it. Okay. So that's an important thing. Another thing, I already talked about this. So it was about, like, recognizing you're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable for you. Like, networking might feel uncomfortable. Giving talks is going to feel uncomfortable. Doing a video, writing, posts, whatever it is. In the beginning, a lot of it is just going to feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Allow it to be okay, and allow it to be a practice that you're going to continue to do and to get better at. And as you do that, it's going to continue to get easier. It used to take me forever to do anything in my business, to write anything, to practice for a video, or to, like, prepare for a video. Like, everything used to take me so long in the beginning because it was new and I didn't know what I was doing and it felt uncomfortable. And now everything has gotten so much easier and more streamlined because I'm just more comfortable at doing it. And really everything that I do in my business, I do it in a way that works for me. I do it introvert-friendly is what I like to say. Like, I'm just being myself. I'm not trying to be an extrovert, and it just works. And when I made that switch is when I really like that shift in my thinking of I can just be myself. I'm just going to show up as me. That's really when I saw my business, like, take off. And when I started doing, like, videos and some of the things that I was putting off doing because they felt scary, even though they were things that I felt called to do. So when you feel called to do something, usually that's your intuition guiding you towards something. And sometimes you just have to embrace the fear and then do it. Okay. All right. Do you guys have any questions about anything? Because I'm happy to answer them. This is a topic I'm super passionate about because, like I said, it was just such a huge learning curve for me in the beginning. And I love helping other introverted people go through the same thing because I think there's such a, it's such a transformational process as far as you can still be an introvert, but I think you can really grow your self-confidence through the process when you really start embracing, like, who you are and showing up in that way, which is such a cool journey. So that's one of the things that I really love. And of course, if you feel like you're getting stuck as an introvert and you want to find some ways to start your business, grow your business, run your business in a way that feels really good to you, doesn't involve having to do networking or things that, you don't enjoy doing or, don't really feel good for you as an introvert, like, that's what I specialize in helping you do, like, really getting those systems in place. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, definitely sign up for a call with me. I will put a link in the comments or maybe up above and you can sign up. But if you guys have any questions about this, or if you catch the replay and have any questions about introverted marketing, let me know. Okay, this is such a good question. Okay, Sarah, so what advice do I have for those of us who are too self-critical or perfectionists? So something that I heard in a podcast, I think it was actually by Brooke Castillo, she was saying that perfectionism is for scared people. Okay? And I think this is and self-criticism really too. And I think this is such a good way to look at it because it gives you some freedom from it. I always tell the story, like, I am a lifelong perfectionist. When I was in elementary school, my mom made me see the school counselor for being a perfectionist. She was, like, worried about me. So I get it. Like, this has been a lifelong thing for me as well. And so what I say, like, as an entrepreneur and really in all areas of your life, what I like to say is done is better than perfect, because perfect is impossible. You'll never get there. And so I really make it a focus to just get things done. Okay. Because I know I do good work and I know I'm putting my all into it. And so I'm just going to do it and get it done. And that's going to be good enough. And so, I know, like, in the beginning I used to go back and I'd, like, read blog posts or read, newsletters like a million times and go back and change things until I wanted to poke my eyes out and pull my hair out. And it's just been a practice of doing this stuff that I've stopped doing that, and it's gotten easier. And so what I would say for those of you who are self-critical and you're perfectionists, do those things that scare you and just keep doing them. And the more you do them, the more you're going to see, because a lot of times it's a story in our head, right? Like we have this story like, ooh, this stuff is so scary. Like, what are people thinking of me? All this thing. And then we go and we do it. We do those things that we're really scared of, and nothing happens. Nothing bad happens. Usually something good happens. And we're like, oh, I had this big story in my head that none of it is true. And another thing I would say is, if you're a perfectionist and you're self-critical, what is it that you're afraid of? Okay, like look at this. Are you afraid of people like criticizing you? Are you afraid of, like in schools, like not getting a good grade, or like what is it? Because when you can actually see what it is that you're afraid of, or what is causing you to be a perfectionist or be self-critical, I think there's a lot of awareness that comes in that, and then you can just be aware of that and not get stuck in that pattern. It's really just a pattern that just needs to be broken, and it's a thought. So if you can become aware of it, then you can be like, oh, I'm being a perfectionist. I'm not going to do that, and just stop. Okay? It really is as easy as that, as easy and as challenging as that. The enemy of good is perfect. That's so true. And the enemy of like getting anything done is perfect, really, because there's no such thing. So perfect to one person is totally different to someone else. So think about the worst that can happen. I think that's so powerful. I was just speaking with someone that I was doing a consult call with, and she was like, had a lot of fear as far as like moving forward with her business. And I asked her, I'm like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you move forward? And she was like, I'm going to go forward and like do things and, put effort into my business, and I won't get any clients. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen if you don't move forward with your business? And she's like, nothing. I'm not going to get any clients. I was like, boom, right there. Like the same thing's going to happen whether you give it a try and see what's actually possible for you. The worst case scenario is what is actually happening for you right now without you even trying. But you're robbing yourself from the possibility of what's possible for you. So if you always stay in the spot of fear and not taking the action, you're always robbing yourself of the possibility of what you could do with your life or your business. So really be aware of that, because I think that's such a powerful mind shift. Done is better than perfect. It's a good one. Yeah, think of someone you're perfect, or think of someone you admire and ask if they're perfect. Nobody is. You know what I mean? Like nobody is perfect. Everyone has their shit. Like it is so true. A lot of times we get caught up now with social media and the internet and everything, like seeing everyone's little perfect pictures that they put out and persona. All of that is crap, right? Like I can promise you, probably some of the people that seem most perfect online have a lot of shit going on that you're not seeing. So let go of believing that anyone is perfect, because it's so not true. I like to think of it like when I was little, I thought I would grow up and be an adult who had it all figured out. And now I'm like, I'm an adult and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I recognize that everyone feels the exact same way. So I think that's important and it's helpful. Do you guys have any other questions? I don't know if I missed anything that went by. Let me just see here. Oh, let me see. Dean, you said something. You think finding confidence and not feeling like an expert imposter is a big hurdle? Okay. Yeah. So as far as like in the beginning, like whether you are saying like you're pretending to be an expert, the thing is like, what I think about is that you always need to be a few steps ahead of your clients, right? And so when I was starting my business, I originally started my business around, health and nutrition. And then I was helping women around emotional eating and body image. And now I'm doing business coaching. Obviously, like back in the day, I wouldn't have been like, I'm going to help you with your business before I had started and ran a successful business, right? Like, so that I think is being an imposter, or like, pretending something that's not true. But I think that as long as you're helping people who you are a few steps ahead of, you can still place yourself as an expert who can help them, right? So it's just a matter of making sure that you're helping people with something that you feel confident that you can help them with, right? As long as you do, you're not an imposter and you're not pretending anything. You're just like, and just recognizing like it's going to take a little time of doing it for that confidence to build. So I like to say in the beginning, what you really need is courage. And then as you do it, and the more you do it and the more comfortable you get with it, that builds that confidence. So confidence is kind of through experience. In the beginning, it's more about having the courage to go and do it. And I say like, yeah, making sure that you're helping people with something that you feel confident that you can help them with. I think super important. You're so welcome, Sarah. Yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. But thank you everyone so much who joined me. Like, this is a topic obviously that's near and dear to my heart, and I love talking about it because I think so many of us who are coaches and healers are introverts, and we allow the marketing piece and kind of the fear of getting visible and getting out there to really hold us back. And I think that's robbing the world from all of our gifts that we have, that so many of us can get out there and really make a huge difference. And so I really want to empower all of you who are introverts to get out there and to do it, even though it feels scary, and to know that you can market and to build your business in a way that feels good to you, because I think that really helps. So, all right, if you guys have any other questions, anything I didn't answer, anything you think of later, let me know. Otherwise, thank you everyone so much who joined. I love having you guys on, and this was an awesome little discussion. So I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day, an amazing week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay?